Oh, hello, everyone. Hello, Internet. It's Friday night, and you know what that means? It's time for a little blood and a little popcorn. Denise, Glenn, hello. Happy Friday night. Happy blood and popcorn. Hello, 29ers. How we doing, everybody? That was for you guys. You guys were meant
Oh,
to.
good. Doing very well.
Oh, weird. Oh, I thought you were
Yeah, you're
asking the
you're everybody.
audience.
No, I
That's
don't
why I
think
was
they
like,
can respond in real time because of the Twitch lag. Yeah,
You'd
like they're
think I'd
just
understand
hearing that
cues.
now. They're
Nope.
like, "Whoa, that was crazy," and then someone will respond
what?
maybe. But for now, hello guys, we're here. It's
Hi.
another Friday night.
Hola.
We've got Denise's pick this evening, the Jensen Ackles classic, My Bloody Valentine, 3D in some areas. If you were
I
lucky
had
enough to have it,
no idea who Jensen Ackles was when I saw this movie. No clue.
Oh, really?
you had
Yep.
not fallen in love with Dean Winchester yet.
I had not, interestingly enough. I was like, you know, we saw it in the movies because fun. Why not? Right?
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Did you see
Um,
it 3D?
yes, we
Oh
did.
hell yeah.
And we loved it because we'll get into this later as well. But I think that, hi, Epic. I think that as far as the 3D aspects go, they didn't rely on jump scares to just be the 3D. And it really just accented so much in the movie. Like it was, I wish you could see it in 3D, Glenn. I mean, I know it's never the same at home as it is in the movie
Never.
theater, but
Right.
I
It's
would
sad.
I would recommend watching it in 3D because there's so much, and you can tell obviously when
You
you're watching
can.
it.
The DVD we own is in 3D if you have glasses.
It is. We have to flip it every time. I wonder where those glasses are. We should have
I have no
found
idea. We'll
them.
have to find them on
She
the internet.
says as she packs her life back up again.
Are they the red and blue ones?
No, I don't think so.
No, they're different.
They're
Oh,
the smoky ones, the smoked glass. Glenn, this was your first time seeing My Bloody Valentine.
it was.
Yeah, so that was exciting to get to introduce you to this modern classic. Some would say, others
It's true.
maybe not.
I would
Others
say
maybe
I
not.
would say that.
This has been recommended many times by people who have seen it to me.
Yeah,
It was high on my queue, along with its original that I also haven't seen.
which I
Uh,
also have not seen.
I'm gonna go watch that
Sorry.
soon. I think now that I've seen
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
It's. I wonder. I would be very curious to know the differences. I've never seen the original myself. I had only seen the remake with Dean Winchester in it. He's just going to be Dean for the rest of the episode, so strap in for that. Um, but yeah, I liked it a lot. Like the 3D was really impressive to me. The thing I remember most about it was the lighting effects. Like when a flashlight would scan the screen or a headlamp would scan the screen, it made
Hmm.
you squint your eyes and put a
Mhm.
hand up. I don't know how they achieved that or if that was just a trick of the brain. But it was really impressive. That stuck with me all these 10, 11 years. How long has it been since it came out in '09?
12 now?
12.
12
Yeah.
years, whatever how long it's been.
Yeah.
But yeah, so D, why this? Why now? Why My Bloody Valentine? It's not February, it's not Valentine's Day, but you've never been known to do things any way but your own. So
This is
why My
true.
Bloody Valentine?
Why not, TJ? That's what I say. Why not?
Couldn't agree more.
It is really hard, especially because I'm gonna be honest here, okay? It I get a little self-conscious about choosing movies because there are very odd or artsy choices that you guys make, and a lot of the stuff that I grew up watching is like a lot of 80s, a lot of basic stuff. And I feel basic when I'm choosing, when I'm making my choices. Um and then there are also a lot of like current ones that I like as well. And I just wanted to highlight one that is really one of my favorites. I'm a big fan of it. It's funny, I got pretty critical of it when I was watching it tonight, but
Ooh.
I love it, and I just wanted to share it.
Hey, that's a good a reason as any, and I'm sorry that our artsy choices have made you feel basic. My next movie,
It's not your fault.
Halloween again. That's it. You know? Do it in a second time. No, I think that's a fine reason to pick a movie, and this is a fine movie. It really is, and
It is.
I think I think it was primed for a sequel, and it didn't happen clearly. But I would have liked to have seen a sequel where Dean comes back and does more of the killing, because this movie has a fucking monster body count.
Yes, it does.
Like I'm talking like the first 3 Friday the 13th, maybe the 4th combined worth of body count in one movie by 2 killers, which is an interesting scenario to be in. You know what I mean? But body count, straight up body count wise, them numbers is high.
Reminder, spoiler alert, this is Blood and Popcorn, and we talk about our favorite horror movies. Break them down. Do I have
a spoiler command? I don't know if I do.
Break them down. We should probably make one, but yeah.
Boom, there it is.
Boom.
Spoiler alert. You are now entering spoiler territory. Please back out now if you do not wish to participate in spoilers. There it is.
I am also, like, this is one of the really big bummers about moving is I'm super bummed because I had a really cool costume piece that probably would have worked. But when you move and you pack stuff up, you can't leave everything out. And then you also start to like lose track of where things are because your life is slightly upside down. So I just wanted to say, I got nothing tonight. I got nothing, and I'm a little ashamed of myself.
You have a fantastic, what did you call them earlier? Puppy dog ears.
My little puppy dog ear.
Yeah. Denise, your hair looks fabulous.
This is very
fabulous.
Like late 90s, early 2000s, right?
You
like,
know,
I look
we're
like a
here
teenager.
For this. Yeah, absolutely.
I look like one of the teenagers who'd been killed.
Yeah, I remember in the early 2000s or late 90s, whenever the movie took place. I remember many people with pigtails like that.
Yes.
Pigtail McGee, for one, who was a longtime friend of mine.
Poor Pigtail McGee. And I wore red lipstick. What?
You did.
God rest her soul.
God rest her soul.
But yeah, here we are. So I apologize to myself and to everybody else.
Yeah, you've let us all down, Denise, and you're fired. Sorry, there's nothing that could be done about it. It had to be this way. All right, guys, going to the 2-shot with me and Glenn. Here we go. No, Denise, this was a good pick. This was not at all basic because I genuinely don't think many people have seen this movie. I don't think it was super popular. And it very much deserves to be. Yeah, it's a good horror movie. It's a good slasher flick. It really keeps you on your toes. You really don't know what's coming next. Like, you got an idea, like you think you're putting it together, but there's like,
they
insert
do some good twisty stuff. Yeah,
insert famous baseball player famous for throwing curveballs in here. Put that in there.
Kirby McGee.
In there. Yeah, Kirby McGee, Pigtails Kirby McGee's older brother, who went and played for the Marlins for a couple of years.
Oh, he did.
Before blowing his shoulder out.
Until that curveball came right back round and
wrapped. It was the Guinness Book of World Records. You could look him up. It's page 273 in the Guinness Book. Let's get into it. Let's we've had enough chatter in here about this. Let's start breaking this one down, because I know, Denise, like I said, you were critical for this one, and I'm very curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I am
just
too,
like
actually.
Fucking 4s across the board, 4s and 3s.
Terrible.
This movie sucks.
Well, you know me, I haven't actually ranked it yet. I just wrote a lot of notes.
I haven't ranked it yet either. I've really been enjoying just watching the movie, which has been a lot of fun.
That is always nice. Yeah.
I try to do it in the last 15 minutes because nothing ever happens at that time in a movie.
Nothing.
Nothing.
It's weird that's how story structure works. And speaking of story structure, let's talk about the script.
Well, let's, just in case anybody is going to be just joining us, even when we transfer this over to podcast form, let's talk real quickly about our ranking system. TJ?
Oh, go for it, Denise. I mean, it was an amazing segue from the story structure into the script, but it's okay. Do the ranking systems. That's good.
I'm gonna leave, and I'm
It's
never
all
coming
good.
back.
Everything's okay. Just go ahead.
I'm
Go
done.
ahead.
Go to the two shot. I'm done.
Explain
Hope
that.
you
I don't
enjoy
have it
talking
queued
about
up.
the
I don't
movie.
have it. Wait, maybe I do. Let me
It's
see.
too bad.
Yep, there it is. But it's you and Glenn.
Bye.
Do you act? Oh, oh no, no.
No, it was me and you. You let Glenn go.
I don't
Glenn's
remember.
fired.
But
Yeah,
you had like
whatever
part of my
happened.
frame. It was
It was
very
like
weird.
Glenn's room and
Mhm.
like the lower half of us.
Well, this is the kind of quality entertainment you've come to expect here on Channel 29, home of all your favorite internet shows, like
I
Blood and
guess
Popcorn.
We
I'm
are
just the show
professionals.
killer. Like I am the joke killer, right, TJ?
I mean, I don't want to say that, but like, if you were in Gotham City, the Joker would be very fucking afraid. You're like the Red Hood of jokes. Jason Todd reference. Listen, Denise, tell us about our illustrious and storied ranking system. And bless you.
Thanks. Excuse me. Anyway,
Anyway,
our ranking system is a mishmash of all of the wonderful things that go into making a movie. We are entertainment professionals, so we do take a look at the whole enchilada, if you will, but there are many, 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 many departments that help put the movie together. And in order to keep it sort of concise, we wrapped it into 10 different categories. So first up, we have script, and then we talk about acting. Then we go into special effects, whether that be practical or computer generated. Production design, and in that we include things like set decoration, props, wardrobe, music, sound design, camera and lighting we put together, and as it always does, grip goes hand in hand with it. If you are familiar with a movie set, the grip department shapes the light that the lighting department puts up. Then we have editing and overall enjoyability. So we've actually found ourselves ranking some things pretty low, and overall enjoyability is high because we're looking at it from an amateur, but an audience, our own personal perspectives. And things can rank really high and not be enjoyable. So it's always been very interesting to us. But we'll rank it from 1 to 10. So there is the total score out of a possible 100, and we generally see how full our buckets get at the very end. So it's very exciting. Took a while to get to that.
speaking of story structure, Denise, tell us what you thought about the script.
I'm gonna leave. Epic, I know you're.
Tell us about the script, Denise.
If you are currently watching, stop it. I'm going to leave. I swear to God. If you're currently watching the movie, please mute me right now because I'm about to get into everything.
Yeah,
So,
spoiler alert has been. I'll put it in chat
alert.
again in case anyone
No, I
missed
know.
it.
I'm just saying because some people are watching it right now.
I know.
Okay, so
spoilers.
I don't want to. I feel badly because I definitely took from a little bit from what you said, TJ. And since I'm going first, I'm sorry if I run over all of your thoughts here. So you mentioned that it was a bit improbable for Harry to have gotten through so many people at the very beginning at the hospital. And as I thought about it more, yeah, his ability to crack through the sternum of so many people is highly unbelievable because it's not just cracking through the sternum. But it's not just cracking through the sternum. Then you also have to separate the rib cage in order to get to the heart. So yeah. Having been in a coma for a year and being so dexterous is, I mean, listen, we suspend our disbelief. I love this movie. I suspend my disbelief. But if we're really going to think about it, having that dexterity after having been in a coma for a year and then cracking through a sternum is time consuming.
Zero
even with the
muscular
proper
atrophy.
Tools. Yeah, right. They gave him really good PT.
Mm-hmm.
But it's time consuming even with the proper tools, and then being able to separate the rib cage enough to remove a heart definitely needs that rib separator. I didn't see any rib separators there. Did you?
I sure didn't, Denise.
I was a little upset about that. And then you also mentioned the whole, you're like, blunt force trauma. And I'm like, yeah, it should have been sharp force trauma. Unless
is that I mean, in D&D, we'd call that piercing damage versus...
We would call that piercing damage.
Bludgeoning
but
damage.
Sharp force trauma, even though it's not used as often or ever really like blunt force trauma is used, sharp force trauma is actually a thing. I looked it up.
Oh, wow. How about that?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
So it should actually be sharp force trauma. So I was like, wait a second. Overall, the script is not bad. There are a couple of moments that actually get a little soap opera-ish, like outside the grocery store with Sarah and Tom. It's like from the so-and-so to the cashiers at the grocery store. And he's like, it didn't follow you. And she's like, it didn't. So that was a little, that's acting too. But I mean, the script, it was a little melodramatic at times. And obviously we do know one of the things in Hollywood, especially if you're talking about horror, low budget, independent, nudity is an excellent way to get that green light pushed.
That's a producer doing that.
Toot sweet, real fast. and kudos to Betsy Rue, because she, inside of 10 minutes, gave them exactly what they needed to definitely make sure that movie got made or got a little extra money. And she is straight hot fire. Like, that woman, my God, she's running around in wedges, completely naked, and she deserves all the props in the world.
I'd be so afraid to fall on that gravel.
There are a lot of really interesting attempts at throwing suspicion over a myriad of people. And I thought that was done very well, especially with a couple of people. Of course, after the first time you see it, you're like, well, I mean, why would you even ask that of so-and-so? But okay. I think that in the end, the Tom v. Axel whodunit is really well done. Mm-hmm. Because that one had me guessing for quite some time. Obviously till the end of the movie.
Yeah, right up till the very end.
I think that we'll talk about this when effects and camera come into play as well, but I feel like they definitely had to outline these 3D aspects in the script, and that was done very well. Whatever they started with or ended up with, I think that, it was, like I said before, it was done in a way that enhanced the film overall and wasn't just for gags. So I definitely have to give points for that. It didn't solely rely on your typical 3D jump scares.
Yeah.
And I think it enhanced the movie in a way that we had not seen up until that point and haven't really seen since.
Yeah, I'd agree, man. I think the 3D in this was fantastic.
Yeah.
Really, really top-notch stuff.
It really was. I mean, if you have the opportunity, I highly suggest watching it in 3D, because especially the opening sequence, that's stunning. It is beautiful with all the newspaper clippings superimposed on each other. I mean, it's really just awesome. And once we saw that in the movie theater, like that moment, from that moment on, they had me. I would have to say slow clap on some of these character deaths. I think somebody just mentioned one of those in chat. I think it has some of the most interesting character deaths of any horror movie, and I really appreciate that. Let's see. Then as far as like Megan goes, Harry definitely did not have enough time to break through that sternum and open up that rib cage and right on the wall. So we got to take like up half a point off for that. How the fuck did Burke know he was at the house? That's one of those, maybe it was a deleted scene or something, but that was a little annoying. It's like, wait, how do you know he's here? I really appreciate how, we have really great final girls throughout all of horror movies. I really appreciate how damn smart Sarah is, though. Like, it does not take her long at all. When in the very end, she's talking to the fucking both of them and she's like, stop fucking moving, both of you. And then she's like, hold on just a second. And she gets it immediately. the personality fracture at the end, that walkthrough, we see the scenes previously and we see how that happened. Again, there's like a lot of logistics that aren't explained that we just sort of let go of, that could probably lose like half a point here and there. But I really do love the way we walk through that and then we see it. That was really great for me. So I think overall, I'm going to go with, like, I'm teetering between a 7.5 and an 8.
It's all riding on this. Take your time.
I'm going to go with a 7.5.
7.5. Lock it in. Chronicle that in the
it.
ledgers.
I'm doing it. It's in
7.5
the ledgers.
From Denise Pantoja with a
so that was
robust description of the script.
That was very extended. I'm sorry. Listen, I
sorry.
took all these notes.
You took excellent notes. Kudos to you. Glenn, tell us what you thought of the script, my man.
It was all right.
All right, moving on.
You guys are the worst.
Seconded, moving on.
Why do I choose you as friends?
I wouldn't.
Good stuff.
I can't really elaborate more on it than you did. I'll just repeat what I agree with. I mean, I can see that you took a lot more notes than I did, but what I wrote are basically the same thing. I thought the whodunit, who is it, whatever you want to call it, the guessing game was done pretty well. It wasn't ham-fisted, which would be easy to do. I agree, though, and I'm ashamed to admit this, I don't know if it would have really clicked how ridiculous OP he was, like in his sternum cracking abilities.
He was a Jason level strength character. Like he was
right. I think I'm just
supernatural.
Yeah, I think I'm so used to supernatural villains that like just a normal dude shouldn't be able to do that. Like I know pickaxes are weighted and shit, but like still.
Well, yeah, but he didn't have a pickaxe in the hospital, and two,
No.
it hadn't really been. You know, when you're sitting there watching and enjoying it, that's one thing. But then when you're like, okay, let's sit and kind of really think about what goes into it. And then TJ mentioned, I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, I don't think I would have picked up on that on the first go. I'm sure it would have clicked later. Mm-hmm. But I agree that it's not a huge problem because whatever, better kills, which
yeah.
That felt like a producer and or director going like, yeah, listen, I want it to be bloody. I want it to be gross. We got to show how crazy this guy is. Yeah. If they start criticizing how this guy was getting through cracked ribs, then we've done something wrong.
Right.
Because I use that phrase all the time.
That is true.
All the time to justify decisions that I no longer wish to talk about. Yeah, crack everybody's ribs. I don't care. Crack all of them open. Get the hearts out. Whatever we got to do, we got to finish the day. Let's go.
Just do it.
So what'd you give it, Glenn? What were your thoughts?
Yeah. If we're remembering back from last week, the dialogue and the story, for the most part, made sense. Unlike some other things we've seen. So I gave it a 8.
Oh.
Big 8 from the Glenn.
Which one. I did that because there's a thing I do not like about this movie, and I wanted to not be super hard on the other categories.
Oh.
We'll get to that later, though.
Oh, my
how exciting.
I'm scary. I'm scared. I'm nervous.
I too am nervous. Yeah, I gave it a 7.5. That's where I landed on it. And
that's it.
That's it. And that's all I have to say in the matter.
No, say it.
I think there was some fun characters in the town. I think they were all good, and they all had good words to say, and then they said them.
I swear to God, I'm gonna leave.
And that brings us to acting.
Stop it! Come on,
Glenn.
say some things.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just gonna echo the same thing you guys said. Like the twist at the end was the best part. It was really good, masterfully done on their part. A lot of fun characters, a lot of fun deaths. I do wonder how many of those were written in the shooting script versus like, an effects guy going like, what if we did this,
Yeah.
Right.
because there's some really wild kills in this movie, which is fun. But yeah, all in all, 7.5, above average. Good script. Good script.
Okay.
Glenn, tell us about your thoughts on the acting. The acting in this movie was something to behold. What are your thoughts?
I thought it was all pretty decent. I think it helped that they had a coherent script. Again, maybe it's an inflated number I'm giving it because of past entries of this show. Not that the acting was bad in Army of the Dead, but whatever. They didn't have a lot to work with.
Finally watched the Honest trailers.
Did you?
Yes.
It's so accurate. It's
like,
so good.
It's like they watched our show in the
No
future.
shit. And they're like,
And
5 minutes.
Also, the comment on Batista's face.
Yes.
Killed me.
So good. So good.
Yeah, you guys have to watch Honest trailer for Army of the
Yeah.
Dead. Carry on, Glenn.
I agree. I normally don't tout that, but it's one of their best episodes or videos, whatever you want to call it. I wish I would have seen that in Batista's face when I was watching it. Anyways. The acting in this I thought was pretty good. It's funny you said soap opera-y. There were a few parts that I thought were a little bit, but in the grand scheme of lower budget horror, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly how much money this had.
Let's find out.
Right.
Oh, damn.
Ooh,
Hey, Nick,
thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good overall. And again, they had stuff to work with, which is good for them. I'll again explain later why it probably came off a little soap opera-y to me.
Mm-hmm.
But overall for acting, I give it a 7.5.
Okay. Anthony. Damn it. I will go with the 7.5 as well, because there were a couple of and again, it's something that I hadn't really picked up on prior to this, because I was looking at it under a different lens, if you will, under not just the I really love this movie lens. Yeah, there were a couple of melodramatic moments. Listen, it's a very serious situation. I get it. But it felt a little much a couple of times. Overall, I think it's well acted though. The actors are great. I mean, I love Kerr Smith. I love Jensen Ackles. I love Jamie King. I mean, Jamie King is a gem. So underused. Please use her more, people. Use her more. She's fabulous. And what a wonderful final girl. Like, I mean, because she's a final woman. You know what I'm saying? She's like, fuck. Oh, you know what? That young lad was a terrible actor. I hope he's gotten better. It's just killing me. It's good. It's real good. I'm like, oh man, stop it. No, thank you. Wait, what was his name? Oh, Owen? Noah? There you go.
Oh, sorry. Were you done? That sounded bad. That's not how I meant it. Were you finished with your acting critique?
Were you done? Almost. So, but I remember thinking when it came out, wow, this is a good movie. You know, it was a departure from the campy that I think we were used to. In so many instances up until then, especially with like lower budget. And again, I don't even know if this was lower budget. We have to see exactly how much it was. Let's see real quick. 14 million. Oh, 9. I wouldn't either.
Not for
Shit.
horror.
Okay. Well, at the time, I guess I thought it was low budget and I thought it was good. But, in general, horror is so easy to go campy with. And I was like, this is good. This is an actually good movie. And I feel like it was around that time and after that we really started to get into like things like the in is it Insidious that we watched recently with Patrick Wilson?
Conjuring 3.
No, but on the show. We watched on the show Insidious,
Yes,
I think.
Insidious, correct.
Insidious was like, that's very well acted. Like, holy crap. So I think it was a bit more of a shift towards it. So I appreciated that. So 7.5. Goodbye. Thank you. TJ, your turn.
Rock solid. I I gave them high marks here on this because I thought that there were some really good moments for Dean Winchester and Sheriff Skeet and Jamie King. And I thought like the main cast was pretty exceptional across the board. And I thought the secondary characters were also really, really good. So I gave this an 8.5 on the acting scale.
Okay.
Because I really think that that the acting in this, where it did suffer, was script driven.
Okay.
I think they did the best they could with what they had, which is a 7.5 script in my book.
TJ.
So 8.5 from the acting. Great job. Great job, everyone. You did it.
You've convinced me. I'm going up to an 8. Boom.
Oh my God, look at that.
Where's Austonian?
Changing scores.
Is he here?
Not here.
Oh my goodness. Well, everybody's fine.
It's all right.
Play by those rules.
I failed to mention, I think I gave it an extra half point because of her dedication to do that nude scene the way she did it. Holy shit. That had to have been awful. Awful.
She nailed it. Like, because it wasn't, listen, is it gratuitous? Yes. But it wasn't, it didn't feel it. Does that make sense?
It was her acting in that scene was so good you forgot she was naked, and that's a hell of a thing to do.
Right. It weirdly didn't
take away from it or overshadow.
Right. Like, it didn't seem like it was there to be like tits, like exploitation, like a lot of horror movies do. A lot of horror movies do. Yes. It was definitely there for a reason, and clearly they didn't cut away from it for a long time. But yeah, she did an amazing job in it. And I don't know where they shot this, but I'm sure it wasn't fucking comfortable to do that.
No, I think it was Pennsylvania, because I'm pretty sure they used actual coal mines.
That makes sense.
Good old Keystone State, baby.
Which I should have waited until after the special effects so we could have rolled right into production design. Sorry.
Okay, that was my bad for bringing up the nudity again.
You're doing great. Oops. Everyone's doing a fine job.
I'll show myself out.
Please don't. We'd like you to stay.
No, you don't.
Agreed, Epic and Tom Atkins, as always.
Yeah, love Tom Atkins. Well, we talked about a lot of the horrific and gory and bloody deaths in this movie. Now let's talk about the people behind them. Special effects. Denise, what are your thoughts?
I'm gonna go with a 9 for that. I thought it was fabulous. I enjoyed the blood's color and consistency. They were good for me. The appliances, and I found out tonight, I was like, what is it called when you do like the head and the body? Life casting is what Glenn told us. Glenn's old roommate was an effects artist.
Still is.
He still is.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty awesome, save a couple of moments. Megan's face bugged me. It looked a bit fake. It looked more like the older, like fake life casting. But like Trucker Frank's death was awesome. Burke's scene was, I loved it. I loved Burke's scene.
I loved
It was great for effects overall. Like, I really enjoyed the 3D aspect of that as well. I got beef with a couple of the splatter patterns, especially in Irene's death, because I was like, that's really far and high to, but you know, whatever. That's neither here nor there. But I was a huge fan of it. And I think that a couple of them were like digital, like I know somebody mentioned the one of the first ones, the decapitation. That was one of the coolest deaths for me, especially when it came out. I was like, wow, that was awesome. So yeah, 9.
Rock solid. Glenn, what are your thoughts?
I agree. Thank God it was mostly practical. Like, I don't know, I can't give it a number. 95% practical.
Yeah.
Yeah, the blood was great, which can be a thing that really takes you out of it. Like you said, good color, good consistency. The gore and the creativity of the gore was really good. Like you said, the casting was really good. I didn't have as much of a problem with her head, but you're not wrong either, obviously.
It was her facial expression.
Yeah.
It looked like one of those, you know, like it wasn't cast from her, like it was something that they purchased, kind of.
You
Like
know?
they used a largemouth bass in place of her face.
One of those that runs on batteries and was like the one that sings.
Yeah.
I guess the 3D effects technically would go here. I mean, I haven't seen it in 3D, but I've heard you two talk about how really good it is in 3D. Other people, including my brother who saw it in theaters, said it was some of the best 3D they've ever seen. And this came out like at the height of that era of new 3D.
Yeah,
really,
which is why the 14 million makes sense.
Yeah,
like, it was probably that.
That's like a $4 or $5 million production budget and another $9 million in post.
Right.
I mean, it's a Lionsgate picture.
Right. I mean, 3D of that era was like Clash of the Titans, which had shitty 3D, to be honest. Though I think they did that in post, but whatever. That's a more nerdy aspect of it. It wasn't very good, but it had a way bigger budget. But like you can tell, even watching it in 2D, how well they integrated into the movie, the 3D effects. I really like them. As much as I hate doing this, but apparently it's my new fucking thing. I initially gave it an 8.5, but I begrudgingly am going to change it to a 9.
Ooh, a couple scores going up.
Yeah.
Getting there. It's good that you did, Glenn, because trips 9s here on the special effects. I also gave it a 9. Everything what you guys said is exactly right. It lost a point because there were a couple like green screen shots that didn't key quite as naturally as the rest of the movie did, and they stood out like a sore thumb to me. But everything else was so phenomenal, especially the 3D. Like, man, it was truly an experience. It was an experiential moment in that movie to have that, and I'm glad I got to see it. 9, hard 9 across the board. Special effects, well done, team. Speaking of story structure, production design. Glenn, tell us about what your thoughts were on the look of this movie, production design.
I thought it was really good. I imagine most of it was real locations. Clearly, those were real mines. They looked much better than Leprechaun in Space. That is the one with mines, isn't it?
And Leprechaun 2.
Which one is it that had the terrible ones?
That
were
was
the
just
paper one. That was
sheets?
Leprechaun.
Yeah.
2.
Oh, that was 2.
The light shone through the back of them.
Like real mines do.
Yeah, that's why the pickaxes are made of rubber, because it's all you need to get through the stone.
Yeah, like clearly those were mines. Also, fuck that. I would not work on this movie. Too claustrophobic.
Oh, dude.
Uh, oof, no. I think maybe the hospital was a set, but if it was really good. I would imagine it was probably used to be a hospital.
Yeah.
Um, so like if you're using real locations, you make them look real. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
doing really well in the production design department.
Yeah.
Um, props were good. I think one of the best things was his headlamp, um, which maybe is a lighting thing. I don't know exactly where you should put that, but whatever. I thought it was really good. The axe, I never got the feeling it was rubber, which you do in shit like this a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, never,
Um,
not once.
I, yeah, and it could have easily been. Um, yeah, they did a really good job, and I gave it an 8, which sounds kind of low now that I'm saying it out loud, but I'm not changing it.
Solid 8 from the Glen. Denise, thoughts, wishes, hopes,
um,
dreams.
you know what? I'm gonna go with a 9. Um,
Damn it!
you're fine. It's okay. you know, they probably didn't have to do a whole lot. They shot in a supermarket, in a motel, in the police station, in the local, I think it was northwestern Pennsylvania town that they shot in, Kittanning, something like that. Um, but great use of the area and the mines. They shot for like 13 days in those mines, and I think I recall seeing behind the scenes. I think it was on the DVD, that it was like so cold and so tough. But I mean, kudos to them. They shot in Pennsylvania. They got great tax incentives at the time, and they made excellent use of, and we'll probably get into this with camera and lighting, and it looked fabulous.
Yeah.
And that is not easy in a place like that.
No.
So 9 for me.
Solid 9 on production design, and I'm gonna meet you two in the middle with an
Oh,
8.5.
boom.
Yeah, I mean it's. I think I've heard both of you say this in the past. When you don't think about the production design, it's really good. And you
Mm-hmm.
didn't. You believed every square inch of that town, from the diner to the coal mine to people's houses. It all tracked, and it was the town was very much a character in the movie, and I think it was represented very well in the production design.
Yeah.
So kudos to them. 8.5. But yeah, a lot of it was found, I'm sure. So where they found it. So that's where they lost, I think, a half point for me. But ultimately, yeah, good stuff on production design. Well done, team PD. Um, in a movie like this, where you're in a modern era and you're in a small town, there's not a lot you can get done in regards to costume and wardrobe. But Denise, I would love to hear your thoughts on what they were able to pull off here.
It's also really hard when you're skipping ahead in time. You're shooting something that
Mm-hmm.
was 10 years, and then you're shooting 10 years later. And I think they did a really great job at dressing everybody the way they were when they were teenagers. Kerr Smith has got the beanie on, and he's got the t-shirts, and you can tell he's an asshole kid, right? Um,
Yeah.
the the girls, the way they were dressed, it felt right. You throw a cap on Jensen Ackles, he's a younger kid. And then as they get older, you've got Sarah, who's been married for probably the better part of 10 years now. She's a mom. She runs her parents' store for them. So the area that she's in, obviously it's probably fall, I think it seems like, or late spring, something like
Mm-hmm.
that, where it's like cold. The flannels, I think it all, oh, actually, maybe it was spring, because she does have that sleeveless shirt at one point. I buy that she's now a young mother.
Yeah.
Kerr Smith, he's always in his sheriff's gear, and the way they aged him up was perfect.
Yeah, facial hair will do wonders for aging up a character.
100%. I think that Jensen Ackles also, you know, he looked different enough, even if it was just the cap. You know, he looked a little bit older. And I think that the way they dressed him definitely felt like he was somebody who had gotten away from the town, even though even though he was stuck somewhere else for a little while. You know, his style was a little more different. It was a little more city, a little more metropolitan
Mm-hmm.
with that sleek black coat.
Yeah,
But
that was a big piece for him.
yeah, I mean, the way they dressed Megan, I mean that you you knew a lot about her character. You knew she was a stupid young girl in love having an affair with an
Yeah.
older man.
She had a shirt that said "Ready to Party" when she died.
Maybe makes sense. Um, so I think that it was all done. Nothing like was like, oh my gosh, that was amazing or stunning or anything like that. But I think it was it did exactly what it had to do, which was tell you who the characters were,
Yeah.
and it told you how they grew. So I'm gonna say it's like 8.5 for me because it was solid. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Glenn, what about you, man? What are your thoughts on the wardrobe department here?
Uh, I can't go further in than D did again because that's the department that I'm least knowledgeable in. Uh, yeah, nothing rang false or like why the fuck are they doing this? Like again, it's one of those things. Unless you're trying to call attention to this department, like if it's not noticeable, it's good. Like editing and production design.
Yeah.
Um, I keep going back to this subject, but I read a little trivia that when they were shooting the nude scene, initially she was supposed to like grab like a bed sheet, and like they kept trying to shoot it, and it just didn't work. And it was apparently her idea to just be like, "Fuck it, I'm not gonna have anything." Which
Metal.
technically I'm gonna throw in a wardrobe. So like full extra point again for her being holy shit.
Yeah.
I can't believe she did that.
Love it.
No, there's towards the end there's a really fabulous quote from her that I want to read because I think she deserves more accolades than she gets. And it really hits the nail on the head about what we said previously about her commitment to it. But I'll do that at the end.
Oh, I didn't give the number. 8.5, which I think is what you gave it, right?
Me? Did I give it 8.5? Yes, I did.
You know what?
All right.
I was giving it an 8, but Glenn, your argument to put that nudity scene in wardrobe,
I mean, technically it is.
got me another half a point up, 8.5 from my end. And yeah, I mean everything you guys said is right. Like everyone felt very real. I tried to do wardrobe once on a movie that I was making with some friends, and it wasn't good. It really is a skill. There was nothing complicated about it. It's just, you know, it really is a talent to look at a human being and imagine the character that they're about to embody, and then what does that character wear? Why do they wear it? Where did they get it? And all of that stuff felt like it very much lived in that town. So yeah, 8.5 for me in the wardrobe side. Very good.
Wardrobe is definitely some of the most unsung heroes on set.
Yeah, for real.
Not because I'm friends with some of them. Shout out Jenny Green.
Jay Green, jazz hands,
Jenny.
Jenny Green.
But yeah, like it truly, if unless you're making some sort of high art piece like Bram Stoker's Dracula or something, wardrobe art, I should say. If it's unnoticeable, like then it's good.
Yeah.
It really is. It's very true.
It all made sense.
And there is a difference between wardrobe design and costume design, and
True.
people tend to focus on costume design, which is in and of itself, it's absolutely stunning. It's phenomenal. It's fabulous. But wardrobe design does also really have its place. It really, because as I've said before, and I'll say it until the day I die, you can really, really get across so much about a character if you get it right.
It's true. And it's not just dressing for character, it's also making sure it works technically. Like, unless you're really in the business, like most of the time, all pieces that are seen on a movie, if the movie has money, they do tests to make sure it doesn't look like shit on camera.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is like a crazy other thing you have to just know about fabric and everything else that like you can't even imagine when you're just like, oh, that jacket looks cool.
Yeah. Is this screen print going to reflect light, you know,
Right.
in this scene? Is it too glossy, you know? Goes
And
into it.
you also have to make everybody fit together. Make sure
Yeah.
they don't look like they're out of place with each other. So, but that's
Yeah, unless you're watching The Blob and you need
right.
what's his name? Dylan McDermott, or not Dylan McDermott?
Kevin
What's his name?
Dillon.
Kevin Dillon, the bad boy with the leather jacket.
I mean, yeah,
Oh, the remake
he
of
just
The
comes
Blob.
in out of nowhere.
I
Yeah.
was like, Steve McQueen?
But speaking of story structure, TJ,
Music.
let's talk about music.
I'm going to talk about music. I'm going to go first because I
Yes,
love
you
music.
should.
I'm a big
I know you
fan. The music in this was average.
Aw,
Yeah, like
really?
yeah, it's just not memorable to me. I mean, it didn't stand out as bad in any way.
You love fancy music.
I just if there's no theme that I can hold on to. Like I heard the other day our bird was watching Child's Play. And at the end credits of Child's Play you have this
He has
really
excellent
amazing
taste.
theme. And I heard it from the other room and I went, "Oh, that's Child's Play." Like I know that song.
Right.
For such a good movie, it's a lot of like the music in here is very atmospheric. It's a lot of like, you know, it's very atmospheric and it's good. Like I said, it fits in fine. But yeah, 7 for me, average, dead average.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. What about you, Denise? What are your thoughts?
You know, I understand what you mean and I get it. You know, when you're thinking about you know that's Insidious, right?
Yeah, Tiptoe Through the Tulips.
Whatever that one. I was like, whatever that song is.
And
I can appreciate that. I can appreciate having a very distinguishable song, but I also can appreciate just having something that is atmospheric, that really nails those intense moments that are intensified by this score, but aren't, you know, overshadowing the moment. I think like the 3D, it just brings everything else up. So I gave it an 8.
Solid score, 8. Glenn, what about you? What do you think about the music in this movie here?
I'm right between you two, apparently. To me there was nothing wrong with it. Nothing really stuck out. I thought it was a little heavy on like music jump scare cues. Again, but like of this era that isn't that weird or really that wrong. And it really doesn't, I don't have any huge problem with it. I'm trying to think of a movie that has like a jump scare for like no reason. I feel like it's one of the latter like alien movies. Like they open a door or some shit and you're just like, why was that so loud? Right. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good, but then again, like I think you could have dropped this in any movie of the last like 10 years before or 10 years after this, and you're just like, yeah, that's from, I don't know what a movie is from 2000.
I don't know movies.
I apparently don't.
I don't know movies.
Drop this in Splinter and they'd be like, okay. Though I do really like Splinter.
I love Splinter. Oh yeah, really
too.
good movie. We should watch that sometime here.
We should. I'm sure that's on our list somewhere. Anyways, 7.5 for music.
Rock solid. So we got a 7, a 7.5, and a strong 8.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad music. You did okay. Well, the flip
it's an
side
average of
of
10. That's movie accounting.
Movie accounting, yeah. 10s for everyone. I guess I'll go first again here on sound design. I gave it an 8 because I thought overall it was pretty good. But some of the stuff in the mines, like if you've never been in a cave or a mine, they're an echo chamber. Like in the most literal sense of the word, like sound travels through tunnels and caves, and you can hear it from a mile in. Like someone yells loud enough, that's bouncing off the walls all the way down the mine. And you didn't get much of that here, and I get why. Like I understand why, because you can't have a movie where everyone's like, "Put down your gun, 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 gun! I'm gonna shoot you, you!" Like that. Like obviously that's not gonna work.
But you didn't forgive it.
I did. That's why I got an 8 and not like a 5. Because everything else was really good about it. You know what I mean? Like it was a creative choice. It had to be made. I get it, but I think we could have done for a little more echo.
Sure.
In the mines, just a skosh, just to remind us that we're there and that sound travels in there.
Okay.
But overall, like the gunshots were good. The screaming was good. The whatever melon they were stabbing every time they drove a pickaxe through someone's fucking skull or face was really good. So yeah, I gave it an 8. Glenn, what about you, man? What were your thoughts?
I gave it the exact same score. I didn't think of the echo thing either, which is upsetting that I didn't to myself.
I'm upset with you too about it.
You're fired.
Serious, we're honest.
Back to the 2 shot. Here we go.
Oh no, it doesn't work. Yeah, like it all sounded really good. Like again, I keep saying it makes like nothing wrong with it, so it's a good score. But that's kind of true. It wasn't like there was a lack of sound effects when the deaths happened, and there were a lot of them. They weren't like over the top or like super arty, like Requiem for a Dream, for example. Love that movie, but like I'm glad they didn't do
next
that.
Week.
It's not a horror movie. I mean, it is. It's like real life horror movie.
Yeah, it depends on your viewpoint in life.
It's the fucking darkest movie ever made. Holy shit.
Amen.
No one makes it out well in that movie. Anyways, love that movie. But I thought it did a good job of adding to the effect of the deaths. So splashing, gurgling, shovel in a mouth sound, whatever that is.
Yeah, you can only get that by doing it. So I wonder who they murdered to make that sound work. But that's a hell of a commitment from the Foley team. Congratulations, gang.
Yeah.
Thanks, y'all. We appreciate it.
But yeah, so I gave it a solid 8, a full point more than our average.
That's very good. Tied on 8s, dose 8s. Denise, what are your thoughts?
I'm gonna go for trip 8s, y'all.
Ooh.
Trip 8s. That's a hat trick.
Why not? That's a hat trick.
That's triple 8s. Pull the slot machine, baby.
I thought it was great. And I went in another direction. I enjoyed the sound effects, in the death scenes. Those were all solid for me. But I thought it was all great. Like from the squeaking of the chairs and the creaking of the holster, the leather holster when they sit down in the interrogation room. Like that just was all really well done for me. To like the that ginormous tree branch going through the windshields. Again, I've never heard a tree branch go through windshields, so I don't know how accurate it is, but it felt real to me. So I went on that end. That's what I was listening for there, and I thought it was very well done.
Well, and that's the wild thing about sound design, because we don't know what a lightsaber sounds like when it turns on. We don't know what a phaser sounds like when someone from Star Trek shoots it. They have to match their best creative vision of what that sound is to the item that's in the movie. And so I think it's valid that if you've never heard something like that it still worked for you because it was real for you in that moment. So kudos to them. Trip 8s on sound design. Good for sound. Glenn, I'm going to start with you on this one. Camera and lighting.
Glenn.
Oh, is this because you looked at my notes?
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't look at your notes.
I don't have. If I could show you my screen, it's just my bars.
I didn't look at your notes, but I'm in the middle, and all I can see is your score.
Yeah. Yep. This
Carry
is
on.
this is
This is the problem.
This was my problem. This might be the lowest score I've given anything to date.
Oh.
It looked like video, and I fucking hate the way video looks in a movie.
What did you watch it on? Just real quick. Out of
Television?
Curiosity. Yeah. What fucking service?
HBO
Voodoo.
Max. Oh, you watched it on Voodoo.
Yeah, I watched it on Voodoo. I think I know why, and I don't want to get too camera nerdy in it, because it's boring and no one cares.
We care. The folks at home care. All 5 people watching at home care.
It's
3 of which are us.
So I right.
Oh man. Oh, busted.
I looked it up. It was shot on the Red 1 and
right.
Another camera that didn't do a whole lot, called the S1 2K. Anyways, early professional film video cameras. Film as in movie video cameras.
Yeah.
The Red 1 I love and have worked on a lot of movies that had it on. This is probably one of its very earliest applications. And when the Red 1 was first in productions, it was so new, people didn't know how to use it, or it wasn't fully fleshed out to emulate film as well as it does now. The problem with it for me, and not to get super technical about it, and I spent a lot of this movie trying to figure out how to explain why it looks like video to me, was that like it has, or at least in this film, it looked like it had a very small dynamic range, which is like how much you can see in the darks and how much you can see in the lights, which is not what film does. Film has a huge range that you can see. Basically, when it's in shadow, like you lose everything that's not lit well, and the same with the lights. This is way too.
This
technical.
is good. This is what the people
No,
are going to
keep
see,
going.
Glenn.
And like
I'm here to see.
Red super fixed this very early on with their cameras, but like these early Red movies have this problem, I think. I'm only saying this because I used to be a nerd and wanted a Red, and would troll their message boards when like the owner of Red was on them explaining why it looks this way. Which they don't do anymore, I don't think. The other thing is, like, when it first came out, like it was the first, I think it was the first 4K camera, I could be wrong. But everything is so fucking sharp that it's like a contrast to way film is like inherently slightly soft just because of how film works. The other thing is the way they shot this, a lot of it doesn't have any shallow depth of field. It looks very video in that, like, I'm in focus, the wall behind me is in focus, and the town behind me is in focus. There are some shots that there are, but a lot of it isn't that way, which to me screams video. And it also does this, it has like a motion problem. Like when something's really fast, it kind of ghosts or blurs in a way that film doesn't do. So in my long-winded way of saying this, it looked way too video for me. But I will say, since we combined camera and lighting, this was a really well lit movie, and the camera work, like the dollies and the steady cams and shit like that, was all really well and professionally done. I think it was just camera management that wasn't great because it was such a new system for me, is why it didn't work.
I'm
so
so
I gave
curious.
it a very low score for me of a 5.5.
I know, that was my reaction.
I also will give them credit. I also don't know if this was somewhat intentional, because you have to work in a different way to shoot 3D, which they clearly did.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Because I don't know how 3D production works. I'm glad we don't do this shit anymore. It's a stupid gimmick that should have died in the 50s.
Yeah, you just hire people like Davis and his company, and then they do it for you. Like you just they give them the movie, and then they will make it into 3D.
And they do it after they do it all in post.
Yeah, well, sometimes they'll send people out to like the set to like help, dial the shots in so that it works better. But yeah, you can do 3D totally in post now.
Wow.
I'll fully admit this is a super biased thing of mine. I don't like 3D movies from any era, the 50s, 80s, or whatever aughts this was. It's just a thing I don't like. It's probably because I can't see it very well, and I think it has to do with my color blindness.
Oh, yeah. Shit, yeah, it does.
Which is a very selfish way to look at it. But I also don't like it because cinema works without it, and it has for 110 years.
Has it though? I'm just kidding.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
People used to freak out and jump out of the theater when they first showed The Great Train Robbery because they thought they were going to get hit by a train in 1905 or whatever that year came out. That shit wasn't in 3D.
I'm just kidding. You're okay. Everything's
fine. I know. Even watching this in 2D on television when they do the pick-ack, like when he's about to stomp on him, like I was cringing. I was like, oh no. Anyways, kudos to everybody who does 3D. It's an insane process that I wouldn't want to do.
But Glenn hates you almost as much as he hates John Carpenter.
Oh God, he hates John Carpenter.
It's so sad.
5.5.
5.5 from Glenn. Denise, raise us up. Tell us about your thoughts on Cameron.
Well, now I feel like I'm so uninformed.
You're basic again. This is basic Denise again.
Denise is a basic bitch, I guess. I 9. I gave it a 9. And here is my thing too. Here's my question. When TVs started to have the different mode that you could watch shit in? Yes. Are you talking about that where it literally looked like it didn't look like a movie anymore? It didn't look cinematic. It looked more like somebody was fucking shooting it with a home video camera?
No. It's very good. It's very good video. Honestly, it looked like a soap opera.
It's just all the fancy I watched soap operas before. I didn't think it looked like a soap opera. That's and I don't even know how to describe that. I hate that whatever fucking option you could change it to where you could I don't even know what that is or what it's called.
The higher hertz, whatever.
They have different names for it depending on your manufacturer. It's like True Motion or.
I fucking detest
I do too. It's not that.
It's not that. Well, see, because I'd be interested to delve further into this because I didn't feel like it looked like a soap opera, and I know soap operas and I know what those look like. But if you're you're getting really specific because you're much more knowledgeable in this field than I am. So we'll just leave it at that. But go ahead.
I was gonna say I wanted to be a camera person for a long time, and I was super into Red and thought they were going to change the world, and they did kind of. I just the Red one didn't do it at first. And this is unfortunately one of those.
This was brand new.
Yeah,
it wasn't Red's fault that the Alexa came out. It wasn't their fault.
But it helped them after the Alexa came out. WWE Red's a fucking amazing camera, and a lot of shit gets shot on it. It's just they're not shot on the original.
There's a million of them now, right? There's the Dragon and the Scarlet and the
nothing gets shot on the Red One
anymore,
which is what this was shot on.
Well, and I read that it was shot entirely digitally in 4K resolution, and the filmmakers used the Red One from Red Digital Cinema Camera Company and the SI 2K Digital Cinema Camera by Silicon Imaging.
Yeah.
So the film's stereographer. What the fuck is a stereographer?
3D conversion.
3D person.
Or the 3D person.
Okay. So he found these lighter and smaller cameras easier to use. So yeah, it was definitely earlier on in.
So I wonder then if they weren't using the red for the main unit photography and then doing the old traditional side by side cameras using the lighter versions to create actual 3D.
I think they did.
D, you worked on Jeremy's movie, didn't you, with me? The sci-fi, the black and white sci-fi short from Here Come Your Enemies that we shot in 3D. It
I
was
worked.
two.
You mean the one with the Bon Jovi? It was the Bon Jovi album.
It was in that set of shorts, but this was a black and white sci-fi movie that was like an alien invasion movie that was shot in 3D. There was like two XL1s side by side, and you have to like dial in the angles just so to get
I didn't
those
work on that one
overlapping
specifically,
images.
but I remember
But
what
yeah,
you're talking about.
I bet that's what they did for the shots where there were going to be 3D. The like half a dozen shots. That's what they used. Was two of those side by side. If there was a stereographer on set with them,
Yeah,
or whatever
Well, there
that's
we go.
called.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah, how interesting.
I loved all the work for the 3D effects. You know, and then things like the shafts of moonlight coming in through the cabin, through the boarded up window when she goes there at the very end. I thought they were creepy and beautiful.
Oh,
The
yeah.
lighting in the fog when the miner opened the door, I thought was pretty awesome. Moonlight through the woods. I mean, I've been in Pennsylvania at night and that shit is pitch black. So well done on them on, you know, on getting that to emulate really bright moonlight. And then the lighting inside of the mines, that could not have been easy. And that was very, very fucking well done, in my opinion. In my
Tight.
humble opinion.
The thing with light is you want to place it high enough on the stand so that the shadows are on the ground. Because if you put your light at eye level with someone, you're putting their shadow directly on the wall behind them. So with low mine ceilings, they must have been like dropping small lights right into the ceiling of the mine, like bars across the top or something. I don't know how they lit that.
It was just all really, and then they used a lot of practical stuff too. But I mean, it was just all very. You could see what's going on in the mine. There wasn't anything for me that was like overshadowed, and there wasn't anything that was too bright. I think they dialed that in really, really well.
Yeah,
I have no qualms. I think the lighting was really well done. I think they were just unfortunately using the wrong system to record it, or they didn't know how to use that system to its fullest potential.
Gotcha.
So D, you had a 9.
I had a 9.
I also gave it a 9. I thought it was really good.
I'm insane.
Yeah, the video look didn't bother me because it still had some of that like film grain to it. Like the depth of field I get. Well, I mean, like it was a grainy looking film to me. Like I think that was the lighting and the color that they chose for it. Like not film grain proper, but it had to me it didn't feel like video to me. You know what I mean? Like the depth of field,
super clean.
It didn't bother me, the depth of field, as much as it bothered you.
Sure.
You know, but I think that everything else about it, like I said, lighting a mine is super hard. Shooting a movie that takes place wholly at night is super hard. There's a lot of challenges there, and the camera work was really good. I thought a lot of really interesting angles and cool 2 shots and things that they put in that movie to really put it together well. So yeah, I gave it a 9. I was a big fan. And you know what else I gave a 9 to? The editing. That's right.
Yeah,
I matched it up because I thought the editing was damn good in this movie as well. It flowed really well. It had really nice pacing, and I think overall it felt good for a movie like this, you know, that had a killer who was big and stalking and you know, especially with some of the cuts for the deaths were all really good, you know, getting that moment right before it goes digital, and making it seamless is a tough thing to pull off. So yeah, I gave editing a 9. Let's bounce it back to Glenn and see what you thought of the editing, Mr. Glenn.
I'll be very short. Like a lot of these categories, nothing really super stuck out wrong or like amazing either. So I gave it a 7.5, which probably is a little low. I don't I don't see a reason to change it from that either.
Well, you never know. Denise has quite a bit of experience telling stories on the cutting room floor. Denise, what were your thoughts around the editing here?
I agree with what you said, TJ, as far as like getting those moments, right before they had to switch over to digital in some of the kills. I thought all of that was great. It flowed very well for me, which is a lack of noticing things. That's when it comes in well, like when you think that they've done a good job. When you're like, this story moved along very nicely for me. Pacing is such a huge part of telling any story, as I have discovered, painfully so in the past few years, working on editing. And it's amazing, even with some of the absolute worst footage gathered, you can actually cobble together something good through editing. So I think editors really deserve so much more love than they get. I mean, because it is another way that you can put the story together really well or rip it apart.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed the moments where we were going back to see who the killer was, when we were going back to see those moments. And then in the end, when you've got the Tom Harry moments, when he's smashing the lights in the mine at the end, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
I thought that it could have been cheesy, but I thought it was so well done. It really drove that home. It drove that fracturing of the personality home for me. So I give it a 9.
Love it. Solid scores for the team in the post office.
I give it a 10.
And finally, we come to the end of the road here. Everybody's favorite ranking. And Denise, since this was your pick, I'm going to start out with you here because I want to know your thoughts. How did you find the enjoyability here on My Bloody Valentine?
Listen, it's not perfect, but I love this movie. I rewatch it a lot. I have rewatched it a lot. We purchased this DVD. It had to have been a DVD in 2009, right? Or
yeah, it was for sure a DVD.
We purchased
in a Blu-ray, but
it could have been a Blu-ray.
Probably not.
Either way, we purchased this in 2009, and I have watched it a lot. I watch it 2 or 3 times a year. So 9.5 for me on enjoyability. I love this movie. I think it's really well done, and I really enjoy rewatching it. Like, there's nothing that upsets me about it, to where I can't watch it again, as we've talked about with some other movies.
Like that Leprechaun 2.
Like Leprechaun 2. It is one of my go-tos. And I will continue to rewatch it. And I think it's very rewatchable, and I highly recommend watching it. I know Mo watched it in VR, and that might be a little different. Like, I feel like definitely watching it in 3D and watching it in VR will probably expose some additional things that we're not seeing right now, whether it's good things or bad things. But I highly recommend watching it in 3D if you can, and just watching it overall, because you can still even tell where those moments are, and it doesn't feel wrong. You know how in some 3D movies you watch it without the 3D stuff and you're like, oh, well, that's just weird. Like, it's just booing right at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This, as I've said before, it just enhances the movie overall. So yeah, I'm a big fan.
That's so cool, Mo. Yeah, good call, Denise. 9.5 seems like a very fair score. Glenn, what about you? What was your overall enjoyability here? First time watcher. We've got the veteran. We've got the fan. And now we want to hear from the first timer. What'd you think, Glenn?
I actually rather enjoyed it. I'm not going to read everything I wrote in my notes. Yeah, I liked it quite a bit. I thought the story was pretty interesting. The acting was pretty good. The gore and the effects were really good, top notch, really. Um, Basically, technically, a really good movie. I thought it was enjoyable. It wasn't slow. It wasn't too fast paced where you're like, oh, I'm watching a music video. But it did move at a brisk pace, which is good for something like this. I think it can't linger too long, or you're just like, okay. Unfortunately, and I wish this is something I didn't do. Like when I get taken out of a movie because of visuals, whether it's whatever, whether to me it looks like video or whatever, or like I can't think of a good Traffic. If anybody's seen Traffic,
I mean, not in probably 15 years.
Exactly. Like it's too yellow and too blue. Like I get taken out for that, and just like, why? I have a really hard time getting back into it, because to me it just looked too video-y, and in my mind that means soap operas. I get a little more critical with other things because I'm not engaged as much as I should be. I gave this probably like a half a point lower than I think I really would have. So I gave it a 7.5, but it really should be an 8.
So are you changing your score?
I'm not. Because I can't.
He's putting an asterisk next to his score.
Right. I can't get past that because it's not something I can fix.
Get over it.
I wish I could. It is something I will rewatch because I do actually enjoy the movie. It's just, unfortunately, like you said, there's an asterisk with it.
And that's fair. And that's the great thing about this show is we've got very different opinions. In my opinion on enjoyability, was a solid 9. I really like this movie. I would have given it a 10, except I have a really specific thing about specific holiday films.
Like
Valentine's Day. And I do love this movie. I don't love it as much as Denise does, though. So I gave it a 9, and it lost its whatever point, half a point, because to me it's a seasonal movie, much like Valentine.
So you only want to watch it on Valentine's Day?
I mean, it's when I think to watch it. I don't think of My Bloody Valentine any other time throughout the year as like, oh yeah, I gotta watch Dean Winchester murder a bunch of dudes with a pickaxe. Like there are so many other movies that I put in front of that one that it's a 9. But 9, come on, you're a point away from perfection.
Okay. I was curious.
That's pretty good.
Realize it was your Valentine movie.
Well, it is very romantic. But yeah, so overall that fills my bucket up 84%. Very close to the top. Very robust bucket of popcorn there. And I guess my final thoughts are I really like this movie. I think you should go watch it if you haven't seen it yet. And if you can get it in 3D, if you do have a 50-foot virtual movie screen to watch it on like Mo, do that. But yeah, 84% for me. Bucket's nice and full. Plenty of blood. Glenn, what were your thoughts? Final score.
My final score is a 77, though that should have a asterisk with it because I gave it a very low camera lighting score, and I gave it a half a point lower than it should be enjoyability score because of the camera lighting. So the score is low because I'm nitpicky with this one area.
Gotcha.
It is actually very enjoyable and should be watched, I think, and rewatched. Like I am going to rewatch it. No, it's good. It's definitely watchable and ownable if you own movies, like some crazy people do.
Yeah, if you're one of those people, definitely like us.
Raise your hand.
It's me. I'm also one of those people. Denise, this was your pick. I'm glad you picked it. Give us your final thoughts. Tell us your final score on My Bloody Valentine 3D.
Final thoughts, final score, and here's the thing about the scoring and the show and how we discuss these movies. 85. It's not a perfect score. It's not a super super high score. It's not. I mean, it's a B. It's a B. It's a what's a middle B? Is that a B minus? Is that a that's just a B? It's just a B.
It's just a B.
Um, but I loved it, and like I said, I rewatch it a ton, and I will rewatch it. Big fan of it. So the scores don't always dictate what you think it will in terms of enjoyability and rewatchability, which is always very interesting because, you know, we can love something that, like, I mean, there are some things that we've seen that are painful to watch, but we've rewatched them because there is something about them, you know?
Yeah.
There's a little magic, and this one speaks to me, and it's not just because, and this is the first time I'd ever seen Jensen Ackles in anything ever before. It's like, who's this?
Who's this hunk of man?
Who's this beautiful human being?
Why isn't he on television?
I did not say that.
So I can watch
6
him
seasons
weekly.
earlier.
I need 13 years of television of this man.
And it actually even took 3 more years for us to watch Supernatural, because we didn't watch it until our friend Felicia was on it. And we were like, well, it's like 7 seasons. We'd just come back from a trip, and we were jet lagged, and we were like staying up till like 5 a.m. So we're like, let's just watch it. Let's start a show that's 7 seasons in. And we did. But it was a very interesting thing to like watch this, not knowing who that guy was. He was the main actor, not knowing what the previous version was about, not knowing that. So we actually have a very unique situation in which we are grading the sequel based on not the sequel, a remake based on its own merit. We don't always have that ability because there's so everything they're remaking is so beloved, so it automatically gets compared to the original. And I do want to watch the original, and I think we should, and then I think we should kind of discuss that again once we rewatch the original, or watch the original. Goodness gracious. But it is a very unique situation in that we were watching this based on its own merit. So yeah.
Well said, Denise. Well played. Well chosen on your movie of the week.
Yes, indeed.
And now I guess we'll roll a D6, and we'll find out if it's going to be me or Glenn coming in next week. Glenn, you'll be odds as the odd movie master, and I will be evens as the even-keeled personality that I am. Lies, yeah. And the dice have been cast, and it's a 1, which means, Glenn, you're up, buddy.
All right.
You will be choosing next week's movie, and I am very excited to find out what you choose. I don't suppose you have that ready right now, do you?
I don't. I should have done that beforehand.
It's the day after my birthday. So choose something I'm gonna like. I just want to say that.
Ooh. Okay. I'm gonna have to try to theme this then. All right.
Oh,
no, you don't have to theme it.
Yeah, theme it. Do whatever you want. It's your movie pick. I actually have mine ready.
Pick whatever you want. I'm just kidding. I
have an idea, but I'm not going to do it.
The following week, I've got mine picked up. If you want to get a jump on it, I'm going to pick Vamp. It appears to be available all over the place, but it's the 1986 Chris Makepeace classic, Vamp. It's got Grace Jones, Billy Drago. It's fantastic. It seems to be available to rent on Amazon and iTunes and all over the place. But it is 80s to the max, and we'll watch that the following week, the week following next week. And check the Discord for your for information on what Glenn's going to pick. He'll post in the Blood and Popcorn section for what we're going to watch next week at some point in the next couple of days. Someone dropped the Discord command in there, so if you're not currently on the Discord, go ahead and join the Discord if you'd like to chat with us throughout the week. We do a little bit of that, a little bit of this. Denise, Glenn, tell us where we can find you on the internet. I just put your information there in chat, but tell us where people can find you.
There. Yeah, Denise Pantoja on all the socials. A very slow moving TikTok. I am at the Demogorgon because that's a fun name. And on
It
Twitch
is.
at Denise Pantoja. I play Resident Evil on Saturday nights.
Odd Movie Master on Twitter, which again, not very good at. And at Glenn with 2 N's _Akers again on Instagram, and it's mostly just food.
It's good food though.
Glenn, do you have a profile picture on Twitter yet?
No,
I don't.
That's your homework for this week. Put a profile picture.
I don't have a profile picture.
It doesn't have to be you.
It could be anyone you like.
All right.
It could be like a representation of you. So like
an avatar.
A surly little avatar. I'm just kidding.
A blank screen.
It could be.
You got it.
Just dark.
It could be a film reel.
Just Vanta Black.
Right.
It could be a red one.
It won't be.
Because you love them so much. It could be John Carpenter. It could be that picture of you and John Carpenter together.
It might be that, actually. I might do that.
I love that picture. Well, I am T.J. Rotell. You can find me at T.J. Rotell wherever popular internets are sold. And if you haven't already done so, please follow the channel. If you don't yet, and our socials are also below. And if you want to catch up on any of the content we've done here in the past, all that in videos section, nice and tidy and ready for you to watch and consume and your binge and pleasure. And that's the show, everybody. We'll be here tomorrow night. Davis Saunders and myself, cursed, to talk about D&D. We're going to be talking about some of the Unearthed Arcana stuff and the new books that just got announced. And then next week, Denise will be back Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Dead by Daylight. And then Monday night, I'll probably go up on bonus round. I'll probably do that. And yeah, like pay attention to the socials. It'll probably be Monday night. Maybe it'll be Tuesday night. Maybe it'll be Thursday night. I don't know yet, but probably Monday night at 10 Eastern. And of course, you're watching Blood and Popcorn Friday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. Me, Denise, and Glenn talking about the thing we love, one of the things we love, horror movies, and how much we love them. And that's the show. We did it, everybody. Another one in the bag. Episode 11 in the bag. Thank you, chat, for being here. I'm going to look in the little users in chat. Thanks to our friends, Epic, MacMorden, Zis, for always being here. Mo, for all the love and support, and everyone else that's watching. Looks like Academy Impossible, A10, Cashier Ring, Commander Root, and Denoba. Thanks for being here, everyone.
Thanks.
We love you guys, and have a great week. Enjoy the weekend. It's Friday. Not, as I said earlier, what do the kids say on TikTok? I'm getting ripped tonight. R.I.P. Whatever the rest of the video is. I usually scroll up by then because I don't really watch the dance videos on TikTok. But yeah, fam, that's it. No cap. We'll see you next week.
My gosh.
Stay scary. Did we have a catchphrase yet for this show?
Not yet. No. Let's try a couple out. Stay scary's good.
Yeah. Is everyone shout out their best catchphrase for the end of the show? Glenn, go ahead. Or Glenn, you clearly don't want to go first. Denise,
no,
shout out your best catchphrase for the end of the show.
Oh my gosh, may the blood flow freely and your heart stay black.
Wow, that's really good.
That's great.
Fantastic. What a tough one to follow, Glenn. I'm glad I'm not you.
Fuck, I don't know. That was so good.
Just give us something, anything you got.
No rush.
I literally can't come up with anything.
All right.
Just end with, we'll try 2 more next week.
We'll try. Glenn will have one for next week.
And the movie.
But I think Denise's was so good. I don't think I need to throw out an option. So Denise, with all the gusto and vigor that you can muster in that dark soul of yours, send us home with that amazing catchphrase.
Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. May the blood flow freely and your heart stay black.
Yeah. Good night. Bye.